Devon arrived at Fairmont Crest with a clear purpose: to expand the reach of his jazz record label. His first steps were carefully calculated, beginning with a meeting with Anita, a woman whose talent and reputation were powerful enough to elevate his fledgling brand. He approached her with charm, wit, and sincere admiration, hoping to persuade her. But Anita, with her experienced eyes and deep understanding of both the music world and the pitfalls of hasty adoration, politely refused. Vernon, who had long played the role of Anita's spiritual gatekeeper, did not hide his caution either. Devon left the country club's dining room in quiet defeat, though not entirely in despair. For his gaze soon shifted to another woman, someone he had encountered briefly in some hazy moment of the past, Dani. The way they exchanged short, gentle greetings, subtle but loaded with unspoken meaning, breathed into the air a strange kind of energy. On paper, such words might appear ordinary. But to witness the moment was to see a meeting charged with haunting rebirth. Dani was not the kind of woman who lived quietly or carried aloof elegance in secret. She was the center of attention wherever she went. Whether at cocktail parties, in the small club stages, or along the rose-shadowed corridors of Fairmont Crest, Dani always knew how to draw every eye to herself. She did not avoid her love of attention, she embraced it, wielding it as a tool to manipulate her circumstances. And Devon, long dismissed as a man asleep in his own life, suddenly felt awakened. He looked at Dani as if seeing light at the end of a tunnel after years trapped in the stagnant shadows of his lifeless marriage to Abby. It was an attraction both inexplicable and undeniable, one that left him sharper, more alive, and more decisive than ever before. The question remained whether this awakening was born of true emotion or simply the survival instinct of a man desperate to escape marital stagnation. Devon was not easily seduced by beauty alone. He had always looked deeper, searching for value and depth. If Dani held something capable of reigniting his passion, it had to be something far beyond her glamorous exterior. Or perhaps his sudden proximity to her was merely a calculated detour, an indirect path toward Anita, using Dani's closeness as an implicit invitation into the Dupree circle. But things grew more complicated when Dani's past resurfaced in the form of Andre. The man who once left her behind with confidence to pursue Ashley now returned, torn between jealousy and regret. Dani's quick shift of attention to Devon wounded Andre's pride severely. Yet rather than confront her honestly, Andre leaned toward cowardice. He began digging through Dani's past, seeking old secrets and mistakes she had long hidden, planning to expose them to Devon as a warning. No one knew exactly what Andre held in his hands, but if he truly possessed information that could wound her, everything could spin out of control. Devon, who came with only business in mind, suddenly found himself caught in a storm of emotions and private schemes he could not escape. Meanwhile, Abby remained oblivious to the events unfolding at Fairmont Crest. She trusted Devon completely, believing he was absorbed only in recordings, sound studios, and lofty artistic plans. But if she discovered that her husband's soul was being reignited by another woman's gaze and touch, would she confront it or run? A social gathering was soon proposed, intended to ease the growing tension. Devon suggested hosting a performance where jazz musicians and Fairmont Crest members could share music, exchange emotions, and express their individuality. Dani was, of course, invited to perform, and she eagerly accepted, seeing it as a chance to shine and to stake her place beside Devon. Abby too was invited as an honored guest, creating a tense triangle. Outwardly, the event promised joy, but beneath the surface, a secret drama was taking shape. All eyes would fall on Devon as he stood between two women who embodied different versions of himself, the old, safe Devon and the explosive, unpredictable Devon. But the evening also held the potential for devastating revelations. For Andre might sabotage it all by exposing Dani's most carefully guarded secret, an illness she had concealed to avoid becoming an object of pity. A disease that could steal her life within a few years, driving her to savor every moment, to live, to love, to crave touch, and to be desired. If the truth came out, would Devon see her as courageous or deceitful? And Bill, who once considered Dani a substitute for Haley, would face his own reckoning when he learned that Haley had never been pregnant, that the supposed pregnancy was nothing more than a psychological game to bind him with responsibility. Dani, caught at the center of it all, might indeed be seeking revenge against every man who had abandoned her, armed with the one weapon none could resist, her allure and their own inevitable destruction. Would Devon return to Abby, reclaim his original mission, or abandon everything to step into Dani's chaotic but intoxicating world? And Abby, would she fight for her love or let go once she realized the man beside her had lost his soul? As for Anita, though she had once refused Devon, would she change her mind if she saw the raw passion he was willing to pour into not only his music but his life, his love, and his willingness to burn himself for something or someone? Fairmont Crest, once thought to be a secluded paradise for the black elite, now became the glittering stage of tragedy. Each character was like an unruly jazz improvisation echoing through the grand estate, where no one truly slept at sunset. And Devon, who thought he had come only to expand a music empire, found himself playing the most important song of his life, with his heart as the instrument, and past, present, and future colliding in unpredictable chords. Dani became the focal point of every gaze at Fairmont Crest, not only because of her natural magnetism but also the contradictory energy swirling around her. On the surface, she wanted to prove she was still strong, still capable of bringing men to their knees. Yet within, she carried hidden fears about her health, about her solitude, that she dared not confess. Devon entered her life at the very moment when her vulnerability and hunger for love were most overwhelming. What made their connection dangerous was that Devon sought more than love or passion. He pursued a clear goal: to use his bond with Dani as a bridge toward Anita. He knew that while Anita projected strength, Dani was the weak link, the emotional piece that might sway her. As Dani basked in Devon's attention, Abby began to feel unease. She had grown used to her husband's indifference, but now his eyes gleamed with a vitality she could not ignore. He was more alive, more passionate, as if reborn. Abby feared that spark came not from family or work, but from another woman. Her suspicion pushed her to investigate, and once she realized Dani was the rival, confrontation became inevitable. Abby was not the type to surrender easily, and the situation could drive her to the brink, ready to expose Dani publicly to save her crumbling marriage. Andre, meanwhile, drowned in torment. He had betrayed Dani for Ashley, only to be rejected in turn, leaving him hollow. Seeing Dani radiant beside Devon filled him with both guilt and rage. He could not bear the thought of her happiness without him, for deep down he still believed he alone had the right to possess her. This jealousy pushed him to unveil the very secrets Dani longed to keep hidden. Old photographs, stories, fragments of her past, he would use them as weapons, not only to strip away her credibility with Devon but to drag her back into his orbit. Yet Andre failed to realize that such schemes only blackened his own image, leaving him more isolated. Bill, too, was pulled into the spiral. Obsessed with Haley, he had sidelined Dani, to whom he once felt something genuine. When Haley's supposed miscarriage came to light, Bill was forced to face the truth: she had deceived him, manipulating his weakness to control him. Guilt now gnawed at him as memories of Dani resurfaced, sharpened by the revelation of her illness, a fact he had never known. Bill was consumed by remorse, torn between the urge to make amends and the cowardice that kept him from facing her directly. At the center of it all, Dani was the only one who knew the truth about her condition. Sudden fainting spells, sleepless nights, secret medical appointments. All signs of a dangerous illness eating away at her life. And so she hurled herself into relationships like someone chasing the last light before darkness fell. She seduced not just to prove herself, but to cling to the feeling of being alive, being desired. If her secret were revealed, others would no longer see her as a frivolous woman chasing affairs, but as a soul desperately fighting against fate. The event Devon proposed soon became the focal point, not only as a business opportunity but as the stage where every tangled conflict would ignite. Abby attended to monitor Dani and Devon, Andre arrived ready to expose secrets, Bill came racked with guilt, while Dani shone brighter than ever, soaking in every glance. Devon stood beside her, proud yet anxious, knowing any misstep could destroy everything. As the music began and Dani stepped into the light, the air burst with intensity, stolen glances, half-finished whispers, hidden schemes laid bare in every gesture. Each character was pushed to their breaking point. Devon had to choose between real love and professional ambition. Abby was forced to decide whether to fight for her husband or walk away with dignity. Andre risked self-destruction as he sank deeper into manipulation. Bill struggled between redemption and the harsh truth of Haley. And Dani, at the center of every eye, stood like a blazing fire, though no one knew when her flame might burn out, for her body could no longer uphold her facade of strength. If Dani's illness were revealed on that dramatic night, everything would collapse. Devon might abandon ambition to become her true support or admit he could not bear such a fragile future. Abby might seize the chance to tear Dani down, yet also glimpse her weakness and question herself. Andre would suffer as his petty schemes only drove Dani further away. Bill would sink into guilt for leaving her when she needed him most. And Dani, under the stage lights, would be forced to confess. Not because she wanted to, but because her failing body left her no choice. Thus Beyond the Gates reached a new crescendo, where love, ambition, betrayal, and the fear of death fused into a tragic yet irresistible symphony. No one could remain untouched, for all were bound to Dani in some way. The choices made in that moment would not only define their futures but shake the entire gilded community that once seemed flawless.